Welcome to the channel, everybody. We are playing Unreal World today, continuing our Caveman run with episode number 3. If you're just tuning in for the first time, I've got a link to this playlist down below. And if you do get all caught up, I've got a bunch of other series down there for the Unreal World linked for you, so you can check those out. Also, I do have my Patreon account down there, so I'll be uploading episodes for this series early. So if you don't want to wait, you can help support the channel by donating as little as $2, and you get access to all the early release content over there. But anyway, guys, the last episode we did pretty good, so we've been hunting a little bit. Nothing like the very first episode in terms of big kills, but we're making our way through the world, so let's get started. Week, the Sartola finds himself in one of the neighboring cultures here, the Kuka tribe. They are the light gray tribe, and as you can see by the little red dot right there, yes, Week has found a home with these people, at least temporarily. We won't build anything at all in this series. That's why he's a caveman, because we need to find him a nice, warm, dry spot to sleep in, a natural place where the animals might be. But we will, of course, scare any animals away if we do come across them. But this stop-off was for trading purposes, really, and we'll probably remain in the area for a while, maybe trying to hunt some big animals, do a little bit more trading. But we had to get our hands on this nettle yarn. This is very fine cordage that we can use for crafting clothes, so that's our big priority. You can see we only have 5 pieces of clothing, and the rough badger fur mittens are the newest addition. So we quite literally crafted these in the last episode right at the end there and put them on, because of course our extremities are the first things to get frostbitten in the cold weather. So we're getting there too. We're not quite in the dead of winter. We've still got 9 weeks before midwinter point. So right around that time, it's going to be at its coldest here in the Unreal World. But for starters today, like I said, we're going to exit the village because we haven't gotten everything we need by any means, but we don't have anything else to trade with, unfortunately. So let's break a little hole in this puddle here, take a drink before we hit the world map. That way we don't dehydrate. Very important in this game. And luckily, one thing to note too, every water source you come across is potable in the Unreal World. That's part of the unreality of it, I guess. But nothing to worry about. We have arrived back at our shelter. This is the second shelter we've created. It's just to the west of, this little cluster of settlements here. So it's a good little hike, but there's a lot better hunting ground in this area. You can see much more open. There's still some trees here and there, but we've got a good little route that we can just kind of circle day after day. In fact, boom, look at that. Reindeer dead ahead. Now that's gorgeous. Unfortunately, we are starving. This is the hungriest we've been. We're nowhere near death or anything like that, but it is affecting our physical performance. But of course, in case you guys missed it, here's the physical profile. He's a speedster. For sure, his endurance isn't maxed out, but it's pretty close. So he is a runner. That was the whole point. Starting as a runaway slave, it made sense, I think. But let's get serious, guys. We are going to go right into it. I'll rest just a little bit, because there's some fatigue built up. I think the snow around us is getting a little thicker, but we are just moments away. So let's check out if this is one reindeer alone or an entire herd. And it looks like there's at least 2, probably more, definitely more. I see 4, and that's without turning my head or moving at all. Let's check some of them out. We're going to use our look command to kind of look all of them over here. Okay, we got a big and a small one right off the bat. I can use the auto jump button too. There we go, that's handy. So we got a couple small ones, an average one, and a big one. They're all well rested. None of them are tired, I think. And obviously we don't have much in the way of ranged weapons. I do have a rock equipped, but that's more or less for the squirrels we might come across. Although I'm not against giving it a toss here at this big one. So let's zoom in, take aim. Let's see if we can spook it. Oh, I actually hit it. Scratches its hoof. I think we actually probably marked it though. Now, darn it, no true injury there, but it did spook the animal, so that's good. Since we are going for the endurance hunt, like I said, we're going to start sprinting. There it is. You can see the little puff of clouds underneath our character's feet. I'm just going to leave my rock behind because I don't want to take the time to stop and pick it up. Wow, there's a lot. Yeah, there's 2 below us to the south. Now, the one that I just threw the rock at, I'm pretty sure, I was trying to keep my eye on it. I think it escaped off screen. But, again, it's always good just go through and look. Okay, that one down to the south is a little bit fatigued. That's probably just coincidence. This one's a little fatigued. But, yeah, again, the big one we're focused on. That one, is that it right there? Sometimes. No, that's one of the small ones. So it's still just off screen a bit. But have no worries. As long as the forest itself doesn't interfere, which oftentimes it does, the forest is its own entity in this game, no doubt about it, we should be able to at least get one of these. Take a look at this. So I was just inspecting the herd after catching up with them again. I've got one of them pinned down, or I did for a while, but it got back up here. And I found the big one that we actually threw the stone at. Turns out it is injured. I bruised it worse than I thought. It says it's walking lame. So that's impressive. But nonetheless, I was actually going after a different one because that guy got away from me initially. And I picked one of them off from the group, kind of got between it and the group. There it is. So this one's fatigued here. It's not very fatigued or breathless, which is where we want to get it to. But like I said, this one I had it picked off, but it got back with the group. So I'm going to try and keep my sights on that one. Now, the good thing about groups like this, even if you kill one, oftentimes you can keep coming back to the same vicinity or general area and go again and again if you're good enough, if you get lucky. But it is much easier when you've got an actual bow and arrow. Now, like I said, we've got to keep ourselves between this reindeer and the group. I'm not sure where she went. I don't think she got back in time. Well, there's the big one. Just going through them. Again, as I've mentioned previously, always look at your target. Even if you got multiple, take the time to inspect. Where did she go? See, that's the thing, is when they separate, they will constantly try and get back with their group. So I should be able to kind of intercept her, but dang it. Maybe she slipped around behind me. Well, I'll just keep following this number here. And if I see her again, or, oh, shoot, the trees. The forest. Look at that. So as I mentioned, the forest is one of the big factors that can spoil any hunt there. Yeah, look at that. What I will do here, though, is I'm going to go ahead and mark this and say deer. We're definitely not giving up on this herd. This will be a spot we come to. In fact, I'm going to just move around here on the overworld. Sometimes you can scare them up, even if you don't happen to see them on that map. Look, their droppings are everywhere. Yeah, they got hoof prints. Alright, we're hot on their trail still. Unfortunately, I did lose track of that herd, but I've still got that area marked, and we're going to go back there again. But this day, we came across an elk. And yes, it's in the thickness of the forest here, but this is just an interesting little spot. There's just one little patch of forest surrounded by open area. So I'm hoping maybe we can scare this this female out into the open here. So let's, of course, take a look at her first thing. Going to be doing as much hunting as we can, especially in these early days of winter. And I had to specifically warm up by the fire before I came out this morning, just because you can see how low the temperature is, and we're still not really fully equipped with good gear. That's one of the reasons we desperately need to get one of these animals. There she goes. So she is sprinting. Oh, already a little fatigued, but again, if we can just force her in one direction, she should. I'm going to stop sprinting. I probably shouldn't at this point. Yeah. Oh, where? Okay, here's the open. I lost track of her, but I'm hoping she ran. There she is. Yep. She ran right out into the open. Perfect. All right, so let's put on the sprint and start chasing her. Oof, it is very early. You can see we don't even have full visibility to the side of the map there, which is unfortunate, but it just means we got to rely on her tracks much more heavily. And the good news is they are clear here in this thick snow. She's still only slightly fatigued, so got to put the pressure on her. And unfortunately, oh, you know what? I think I do have a rock I can throw. I was going to say, unfortunately, I don't have a rock, but we do. Oh, no, just a little bit short of her. That's okay. It was worth a try. Oh, boy. Well, here we go. It's been a long morning. As you can see, the sun is finally up. I actually rested a little bit because I lost sight of it, but we've got it again, and she is losing steps left and right. Check this out. So we are sprinting, but I can pretty much keep up with her at this point. Oh, yeah, we might have her in the bag. I don't know what she's doing. She's freaking out, too. She might be a little bit afraid to go out here on this thin ice. That's what that is, that discoloration. Yeah, she's not moving out. She'd probably fall in, but we can zoom in comfortably. We've got our broad knife equipped. I can probably go ahead and stop running. I'm going to go into stealth mode, which isn't necessary by any means. In fact, you can see we're losing her pretty quickly. All right, let's go ahead. It's going to be near impossible to actually lose her at this point, though, because she is breathless, and we can walk right up to her. No need to stealth whatsoever. So, we all know the routine. If you don't, I go blunt so I don't damage the fur, and I go for the legs initially, just to trip them up. It's easier. There we go. She's fallen unconscious, so now I will go blunt again, preserve the eventual fur that we're going to skin, and we go for the skull. And there we go. It takes about a dozen or so hits for an animal this size, but it's worth it in the end, and we have done it. So I'm going to rest up a little bit. Let's zoom out, and I also want to take a look at the map. So here we are. This is the deer that we initially found, that group. Don't need to go there right now, obviously, but this is our shelter, and over here is where the trading people are. So we'll probably skin it right here at this location, butcher it up, but very important to take note of the temperature. Yep, our thermometer is in the blue pretty hard, and you can see our warmth level's cool. So what that means, before I can do anything with this, I need to get some branches off one of these trees. There we go. And now let's go ahead and chop down one of these saplings. Luckily, with the smaller trees like this, you don't need an axe. You can just use your knife. Thank goodness. Otherwise, it would be impossible to survive. We ended up with just over 200 pounds of meat. Some of it is still sitting at my feet currently because we can't carry that much, but we'll deal with that in a moment. First things first, though, we've got to eat our first bit of roasted meat in literally days for this guy. Probably almost a week now. Yep, he's starving pretty bad, but I started off just cooking up 20 cuts here. But once we figure out just how much we can carry, we are going to move to that. First, we're going to stop by our shelter and get the skin working, the fur. It does take a while, though, so you know what? We might be better off just actually carrying as much as we can to the civilization over here and dealing with the fur by one of their settlements. Since we're going to be wanting to get that meat there and trading it, yeah, that's probably our best bet. No reason to stop off at the shelter. It'll just risk some of the stuff going bad. But anyway, enough talking. Let's see what we can pick up here. I'll leave the bones for now. Actually, here's what we'll do. We'll pick it all up. Okay, we should go to sleep because we are tired. So let's have a nice little rest. Beautiful. Gonna eat in the morning, of course. There we go. Still carrying too much. Yep, not enough. But we can go to the world map and I can drop some of it here on the world map. Unfortunately, the skin turned out harsh, but that's okay. We can still use it. And let's see here. We're probably going to need to drop at least some of the meat. So let's do 50. And yes, that brought us under 100, so we should be good now. In fact, I could probably try to maybe pick up 20 more. Nope, that put me back over. So anyway, but most importantly, what I do want to do is probably put another marker here under a different color, and we'll just say meat. I'll just mark that as meat, and let's make it white. so it stands out a bit, because we've got to come back. Luckily, it's cold outside, so this stuff will probably stay fresh, but of course, if we spend too long away, it'll go bad no matter what. Well, it's not everything I wanted, and I'm giving up a lot of the meat, but here goes 150 raw cuts, and we're going to say that's a deal. I ended up with some arrows. I did try and trade for a bow, but their bow, they have northern bows only, and those are very good, but too expensive right now. Oh, and I also picked up the ball of birch bark, which we're going to use this to tan the leather that I left back at our original shelter, which, by the way, I haven't forgotten about. Another thing I did forget about was the quest that we had at the previous village where we started the episode, but no worries, I think we can go back there and get that. We'll just get a little bit of credit with that village if we do that quest, but otherwise, they have some good stuff here. It's just I can't afford most of it. Now, one thing I do want to do is roast up the rest of this meat here. So I'm going to roast that. We'll take, we'll have, let me go ahead and get all of that roasted too. Should roast, there we go. I'm wondering why that little bit of fat was left. Huh. So anyway, I processed the fur back at this village. That's why I left the mark there. It's a little bit closer to our shelter over here, but I need to return there, get that thing going into the next phases. But like I said, we're going to take advantage of the fire we've got in the little tent and maybe try and rest a bit before we head back. All right, well, I've been busy. We actually made it all the way back to where that kill was, and check it out. The bones are still here, and the elk cuts are still fresh, which is amazing, but that's only due to the fact that we are in the dead of winter right now. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this mark, and instead of making the long trek back to the civilized area, we're just going to come to our shelter here. There we go. I'll probably roast up the rest of this meat. It's a lot. It is, honestly. And I'm hoping it doesn't go bad here. But one thing we can do, maybe save some of these raw cuts, and we'll do some sacrifices with those too. But now that we're here at our little spot, I can go ahead and finish this fur off, which is really the priority. There it is. It's kind of midway through the process. So this will take a few hours till midnight. Now, one thing I need to do is find a log, because I won't be able to go through the final stages with that fur until we get a log, but I'll find one. Sometimes we get lucky and there's like a fallen pine tree or something nearby. Hopefully the spirits smile on us and we find one easily, but you know what, I was thinking too, ultimately we need to get out of here and get up to the north where the mountains are. Sorry, let's move over here. Yes, look, there's our target. There's a cave in sight, and we have not visited this one. I don't know if it's the perfect cave for us, but we've got to find one. It's unnatural living in these shelters like this. Weak does not enjoy it. He needs something more primitive, so we've got to find that perfect cave for him soon. Oh boy, look at that. Another big bull elk in sight. Unfortunately, though, this is one of those rare times where we're just going to pass it up. As you can see, I'm carrying a bunch of stuff, and that includes the partially complete skin. So instead of hanging out there and looking for a log, I decided, once it was finished, let's head back to our original shelter, which is all the way over here. Oh, I just saw it. There it is. Beautiful. Now, I wanted to come back here because I'm starting to worry that some of that food might be done. Now, I don't think it's going to spoil, but there was also a piece of leather here. I'm hoping that's not gone rotten. There it is. So we can see, okay, they've still got 11 days, 12 days, 13 days. Okay, that's fine. How about this thing? Oh, good. Pick up a de-haired elk skin. So it is actually ready for the next stage in the leather making process, and in fact it has not gone bad yet. So it's really the best of both worlds, except it would have been even better if the meat had been ready, but that's okay, because we do need to spend some time here just getting this elk skin and the elk leather now complete as well. Awesome. So that ball of birch bark did work. In fact, I remember now a couple of commenters have told me about that in the past, so that's been very helpful. And now the leather is going into one of its final stages, which is going to be pretty good. I'm actually kind of glad I goofed up that first kill and didn't get the carcass fully butchered. So in other words, I didn't get the tanning material or the fat we needed. So we had to turn it into leather to kind of preserve it. But there we go. So now essentially I've got a full-size winter elk fur. It is harsh quality, but we're going to make some clothes with this thing. And of course, the leather will be done here in a day or less. So we're going to be able to make clothing and maybe some crafting stuff with that. We're probably going to need a set of skis because, like I said, the next big phase is to move northward into the mountains because that's where we're hoping to set up permanent residence. Although I gotta say, if this cave right here turns out to be a good spot with water nearby, and I like the size and shape of the cave, then I think it might be a really good spot with all this clear, dark green open area. Perfect for hunting. So yeah, this could be a potential home for us, but we'll never know until we get up there. So like I said, we want to go prepared though. So we're going to spend another few days here at this site waiting for the meat to get done, crafting up some stuff. So I hope you guys are excited for the new series. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I always love hearing from you, and I read every one of them, so I appreciate you very much. Of course, hit that like button for me, subscribe to the channel, and check out all the other series I've got once you get caught up with this one. They're all linked in the description below, guys. But anyway, thank you once again for joining me on the adventure, and I will see you on the next one. Hey everyone, I just want to give a personal thank you to my Patreon supporters. Their contributions help make my work possible, and I am tremendously grateful to them. I'd also like to extend an invitation to you to help support my work on Patreon as well. Your donations allow me to upgrade my PC and avoid the dreaded hardware despair. It also gives me more time to devote to new projects and create longer content such as live streaming. No matter what you decide, thank you for visiting my channel.